We all have secrets. What is yours? Silent Secrets Audio. Confess in the comments.
The first time I saw my own truck on the access map, I was sitting inside it. This happened in northern Manitoba in November of 2018. I was working as a geese technician for a contractor that maintained digital maps for hydro crews. Most of my job involved checking service roads, transmission corridors, gates, culverts, and emergency turnaround points before winter made half of them inaccessible. I drove a white 3/4-ton pickup with our company number on both doors. The truck had a satellite tracker that reported its location every 2 minutes. That afternoon, the operations map showed my vehicle 12 kilometers north of me, moving slowly along a decommissioned spur road. I assumed the tracker had drifted. That happened near steep rock cuts or during heavy cloud cover. Then the second truck stopped. So did mine. I was parked beside a locked gate, eating a sandwich with the engine running. On my tablet, the other icon sat at the end of the old spur. Same unit number, same driver identification, same ignition status. I called our dispatcher in Thompson and told her there was a duplicate vehicle on the system. She went quiet, then asked me to confirm my employee number. When I did, she said, "You already checked in 10 minutes ago." I thought she meant the automated tracker. She meant someone had called by radio using my name. The person had reported a damaged culvert and requested that the northern gate remain unlocked overnight for a repair crew. I had not made that call. The gate in front of me was supposed to be permanently closed. Beyond it, the road crossed an abandoned section of hydro corridor that hadn't been inspected in years. I had only been sent there because aerial imagery showed what looked like fresh vehicle tracks. I got out and checked the lock. It was new, but the chain had bright metal showing beneath the links, as though someone had recently cut it and replaced it. I told dispatch not to unlock anything and asked her to contact the hydro supervisor. She said she would call me back. About 5 minutes later, my radio crackled. A man said my first name, then asked why I was still at the gate. His voice was calm. The signal was clear enough that he had to be close. I asked him to identify himself. He gave the name of a road maintenance foreman I knew. The real foreman was nearly 60 and had a rough French accent. This man sounded younger. He said dispatch had approved access and told me to clear the entrance. I stayed in the truck and locked the doors. The duplicate icon on my tablet began moving south toward me. There was only one road between us. I reversed about 40 meters until I reached a wider patch where I could turn around. While I was doing that, dispatch called on my satellite phone. She said the hydro supervisor had no repair crew scheduled and no record of a damaged culvert. She also said someone had entered my employee credentials into the mapping system from a field laptop assigned to a subcontractor. That subcontractor had gone out of business 6 months earlier. I asked whether she could disable the login. She told me she already had. The other truck was still moving on the map. I started back toward the main gravel road. Snow had begun coming down hard enough that the trees disappeared behind me within seconds. The tracker showed the second vehicle less than 4 kilometers away. Then, I passed fresh tire marks coming from a narrow cut through the brush. They joined the road behind me. Nothing appeared in my mirrors. I drove faster than I should have. The road had frozen ruts, and the back end kept slipping toward the ditch. Dispatch told me the RCMP had been contacted, but the nearest available unit was over an hour away. A kilometer later, I found an orange maintenance sign blocking the road. Culvert failure, turn back. It was the same type of folding sign our company used, but the reflective lettering was cleaner than the mud-covered frame. Someone had placed it there recently. There was no room to drive around it without putting 2 wheels into soft snow. I stopped about 20 meters away. My tablet showed the duplicate truck directly behind me. I looked into the mirror again. The road was empty. Then I noticed something under the tailgate. A small black box had been attached beside the hitch, its green light blinking through the snow. I didn't recognize it at first. Later, our mechanics identified it as a portable vehicle tracking transmitter. Someone had mounted it to my truck, copied our unit number, and linked it to a separate device moving along the abandoned road. The second truck had never been following me. It had been leading dispatch away from wherever the real activity was happening. I left the sign where it was, drove into the shallow ditch, and forced the truck around it. Branches scraped both doors, and I damaged the front wheel, but I made it back to the maintained road. The RCMP found no repair crew that night. What they did find beyond the locked gate were 2 heated storage containers, several drums with their labels removed, and stacks of copper grounding cable cut from inactive transmission sites. There were also photocopies of contractor identification cards, including mine. The official conclusion was organized theft using stolen credentials and outdated access information. That explanation covered almost everything. It didn't explain the radio call. Our radios used encrypted channels that changed automatically. The system logs showed no outside transmission when the man spoke to me. According to the records, the voice had come from my own vehicle radio. Before the truck was returned, the mechanics removed the dashboard, checked the wiring, and found nothing added or altered. I left the company the following spring. Years later, I requested a copy of the incident report for an insurance dispute. Most of it was what I remembered, except for one line in the dispatch transcript. At 4:17 p.m., while I was still parked at the locked gate, someone using my employee number reported that I had safely reached the highway. That call was logged 23 minutes before I actually got there.